Hi, everyone, and welcome to Gettysburg College's program on how to start your college search. We're really excited to be with you and help you to understand what can sometimes be a pretty daunting process. So again, I am Darryl Jones, Senior Associate Director of Admissions, and I also have a colleague with me today.
Hi, everyone. My name's Courtney Best, and I'm also one of the Senior Associate Directors of Admissions, and I'm based out here on the West Coast. We are so excited that you're joining us, and you will see the Q&A box at the bottom, and please feel free to put your questions in there, and we will get to them towards the end of the presentation.
So for all of you, here is what we want you to understand. This process is going to be about researching colleges and universities. So we're literally going to teach you how to do that. What else, Courtney?
A big part of this is really finding your best fit. And that means so many different things, not just your academics, but the right social fit, the right location, the right cost of attendance. And I know at Gettysburg, a lot of our students said one of the most important pieces was meeting the students and faculty and feeling that instant connection with community.
And another part of what we're going to talk about is really just how you engage with us, what you do to find a way to connect with the colleges and universities that are ones that you're choosing. So we're excited to be with you and to teach you what it is that you need to know.
So I'm going to kick it off with just understanding how you go about researching colleges. And first of all, looking at websites. There's so much information on the websites. You can look for information about courses that you're going to take, or information about the faculty who might be teaching you, their interests, their research. You might find out new program updates. You could find out about the dining options or residential life options on campus. There's so much when you explore college websites, but you have some great resources right in your own schools, from your guidance counselors, college counselors. You might have some great resources at home if you've had family members that have gone off to college to really help you through this process. But first, I would really highlight going to see your counselors. They have a wealth of knowledge. They can share updates about different colleges and universities. I know that is a big part of our Gettysburg admissions, is we're constantly in touch with high school counselors and college counselors all over the world. You could ask about specific scholarships. They'll have knowledge of upcoming tests, and they might even suggest a school that's you've never heard of, and it's a great match for you.
And in an ideal world, which I hope we return to at some point for you, you'll be able to visit colleges and universities in person. So at Gettysburg, we certainly love to interview you. We love to host you for tours, which we keep very small. We like to do information sessions that are highly interactive. We like to have you all see our beautiful campus. So for us, the visit is ultra important. And for some colleges and universities, they're going to welcome you at different times. So for some of you who might be freshmen or sophomores, it might be just a time to see campuses to know what kind of structures you like. For some, it might be too early, so maybe you want to start as juniors. But what I do know is that if you want to make the most of your visit, you have to keep your eyes and ears open. You have to ask questions. You have to be curious, and you have to understand that sometimes it's okay not to know exactly what to ask, but at least you're setting your feet on campus. Right now, of course, Courtney, we know we can't just set foot onto campuses with the pandemic, so we do lots of virtual visits. So can you talk a little bit about what it means to make the most of virtual visits and how students do that, please?
Yes. And I know it doesn't feel like it, but those of you who are doing your college search now, you are so lucky compared to students even 2 or 3 years ago. There are so many more virtual options out there. I know at Gettysburg, we have information sessions, we have chats with students, we have presentations from faculty, students, alumni, virtual tours, virtual interviews. And I would also take advantage of the social media that's out there, YouTube and Instagram. I would follow the schools that you're really interested in, because that can give you a lot of insight to what's important to that school. What are the traditions there? Just as a quick example, here's a video that we have for you that will give you just a glimpse of Gettysburg College.
You go where you feel comfortable, and at Gettysburg there was a lot of places where I felt comfortable.
Depending on our majors, minors, and extracurriculars, we all have completely different things thrown at us over the course of these 4 years.
Gettysburg gave me scholarship. It gave me facts to prove my experience, to justify my life.
I've gained a deeper understanding of who I am and what I'm truly capable of.
I want my students to be intellectually alive.
As faculty, we work with every student individually to develop their personal goals and the things they want to achieve.
It won't be long until you discover yourself firsthand that making a difference is synonymous with Gettysburg College.
So now we're going to talk about finding your best fit. And this is, again, something that all of these things are important, but we're going to really connect to that really all important one, that residential. You're going to spend 4 years at this school. Is the school more residential or a commuter campus? Thinking about our students at Gettysburg, they're guaranteed housing all 4 years. So they're on campus every night and throughout the weekend, and they're able to take advantage of the opportunities outside of the classroom 7 days a week instead of just 5. So, asking schools, are students around on the weekend? What do they do in the evenings? Getting a feel for that campus life, that residential piece is so important. Darryl, do you mind sharing a little bit about some of the other best fits?
Sure, Courtney. So some of the things that I like to talk about is, first, there are so many facts tossed at people. You saw in the video so many numbers about all sorts of things. So it's important for people to see what the value is behind the facts. So when you see a 9-to-1 student-faculty ratio, well, are those faculty members actually teaching classes, or are your classes 500 people? At Gettysburg, the classes are very small, and all the tenured faculty have doctorates, so they're with you in the classroom. Just the population on campus. Who are the people that are there? Where are they from? What are their backgrounds, be it ethnic, gender, religion, socioeconomics? you need to find out which kind of diversities matter to you as well. So population matters as well. What are some other things you think are important, Courtney?
I think a big one is just that overall student life and activities. Because in the video, we had that quick little statistic of 120 student-run clubs and organizations. And I really like high school students to think about all the things that they're doing, either currently or they've done in the past, whether it's they really love doing community service, or they play sports. They're really passionate about politics, or their religious life is important to them. They love art or music. They enjoy hiking. They love being a part of the student government or being a student leader. I think these are all parts that are equally as important to your academic balance and the rigor of academics on campus. Is what is your life going to be like outside of the classroom? Are you going to be able to continue with all of those things that you're interested in?
And of course, I get to talk about practicality, Courtney. You know, the cost of attendance, real affordability of being there, that's important too. So as an example, yes, if you need it, you could get need-based financial aid at places, but you want to make sure that if you're getting a need-based financial aid package or scholarships, that you borrow a little less. So Gettysburg College, as an example, always has a pretty favorable grant, which is free money, non-loan funding versus loan funding. But it's also things like the fact that Gettysburg College covers the round-trip airfare for off-campus study and covers lots of things that at other colleges and universities would cost something. So you want to make sure that it's not just price tag, but it's the value of whatever you're getting and making sure there are no hidden costs and hidden barriers. But that's my piece about practicality from price. But Courtney, one of the other practical pieces is where it is.
And that's something I talk about a lot out here on the West Coast, thinking of the location. How close are you to major cities? What's the distance from home? Are you okay hopping on a plane or hopping on a train to get to school? I think one of the benefits of Gettysburg is we have a transportation system that allows our students to have a shuttle to the airport, the local airports, every day, every 3 hours. So whether you're coming from the West Coast or New England or flying up from Florida, coming in from Chicago or Texas, you can fly into Baltimore or DC airports, and there's always a shuttle for you from the airport to campus every day, every 3 hours. Or if you're hopping on the train in Harrisburg, it's only about an hour from campus, and there's a train a shuttle every day, pretty much every hour to Harrisburg. So again, if you are looking at schools that are far from home, make sure you're asking that question: how do I get there? And not just to the airport, but from the airport to campus. Also, again, that location and proximity to major cities, there's some really great benefits because those cities can become an extension of your classroom, not just the college campus itself. Another thing, they also provide opportunities for internships, and this will really help prepare you for your life after you earn your college degree.
And speaking of which, Courtney, that's an excellent point you brought up. All the nice things that happen, all the great activities, the housing, the clubs, the things you choose as majors don't matter if there isn't something at the other end. So in higher education, we just call it outcomes, meaning what is the outcome after all of that? So you notice that with Gettysburg College in that video, that 98% of our graduates are either in a career path or graduate school within a year of graduation, which is pretty fantastic. So you need to make sure that things like career advising, career planning, career engagement, the college or university gives you. I know that with Gettysburg College, we start right away in the first year so that it's not about having to know what you want to be when you grow up, but instead it's knowing that there's a way to get to whatever it is that you want. So really think it's important for all of us to understand that college is great and it will be among the best years of your life, but it should set you up for a lifetime of what is great. So all of this is well and good, but Courtney, what in the world do we do? How do people get in touch with us? What do people do to actually get this search underway?
So our first bit of advice is contact your regional representative. Every college admissions office has counselors that are in charge of a specific region. There are also regional counselors like myself that live away from the college in your specific area. So finding out who those people are, getting in contact with them, seeing if they're going to be doing any high school visits in the future, or maybe even setting up interviews, just seeing what's available to connect with them. If you have any questions, it can be small questions or it could be big questions. They're a great point person to connect with. So a lot of those emails you'll find on the admissions website at most colleges and universities. If it's not there, you can always call the admissions office and ask who your regional representative is.
And another thing you can do while contacting those regional representatives or people who aren't your regional representatives, you can questions. You can be curious. And it's okay to not know exactly what to ask, but some of the favorite questions that I like to give students to ask, especially on our campus, because there is such a close relationship between students and faculty, is how much time do you spend together beyond required, and the whole idea of teaching class? There must be some other interaction. So how much is there? And you can ask students how to spend with their faculty members, or you can ask people what school spirit is like and what makes it different from high school spirit. You know, in college, there are lots of things that happen at any given time. So understanding that school spirit takes on a different form, or finding out how many people stay on the weekends, finding out really how great the food is, because it's not just about eating, it's about having a social life that is a part of your meals. But knowing those things and not being embarrassed to ask basic questions is certainly something pretty important.
And another great place to ask those questions is if you have an interview. So an interview is all about you, and it's a great opportunity to share some of the things that you're proud of, some of your accomplishments. It's a great way to share how you've grown, and kind of get a little bit more specific with your questions about things that are truly important to you. Again, an interview is not offered everywhere. At Gettysburg, that is one thing, that is my favorite part of the whole process, is really sitting down one-on-one with the student and getting to know them, asking them questions about their favorite teachers and favorite classes, and learning a little bit more than I might read in their application. So I really highly recommend, if there are interviews offered, to take advantage of that and come prepared with your questions and ask them, because it's very much a part of you figuring out if this is a good match for you, as well as for colleges to figure out if you're a good match for our schools.
You know, and certainly asking admissions people and asking current tour guides and student workers, that's important. But what you'll find a number of colleges and universities doing now is going beyond that. So if you'd like to engage with people after witnessing a student panel, and you'd like to contact students or faculty members or deans or administrators and find out a little bit more behind the scenes about what really happens at an institution, colleges and universities are ready to accommodate those requests. And certainly at Gettysburg College, because we really want to personalize this process in whatever way we can, we are ready to heed whatever reasonable requests we can, because we know with travel restrictions and all sorts of other things, it may not be possible to get to a campus, us to show you all that we can so that you have, again, your curiosity satisfied when it comes to colleges.
And for our final point, we just wanted to talk a little bit about demonstrated interest. So a lot of people are like, what is demonstrated interest? And quite simply, it's the degree to which you show colleges that you are sincerely interested in coming to their school. And how do you do this? You can visit, whether it's in person. If you're visiting and the office is closed, let them know that you are on campus. If you're doing a virtual visit, doing something online, make sure you're registering. So the colleges have a record that you attended and you were able to get more information and have contact with people from that college or university. Again, information sessions, panels, college fairs. A lot of college fairs have gone virtually, but filling out either those cards, if we go back to in-person college fairs, filling out those cards or making sure you're registering online for some of these programs, that's a great way to just track those contacts. And I know for some schools that it's incredibly important that you know a little bit more about the school. And as I mentioned before, you can get in touch with your regional counselor or really anyone in the admissions office. But if they're in touch with you, your name might look a little bit more familiar when reading an application, or they might remember an interaction or something fun that you shared. So I highly recommend looking at schools that have opportunities for you to connect and show them that you're interested.
And here's another part that's pretty important. You know, lots of students ask us, so, you know, with the pandemic, how do you look at this whole piece about me not being able to have activities or take some of the classes I'd like, or even to take standardized tests? Well, Gettysburg College has been test optional for over a decade. So I know that many colleges and universities are learning how to review your applications without them. But we know how to do it, and we've always been what I call a little more fair about reading you without that one-day example. So I want you to understand that we get it. We understand that the world's activities were disrupted, and I give you blanket permission to not worry about that. And if you've been personally affected by something related to the pandemic, both the common application and the coalition application and many other institutional applications ask you if you've been directly affected by anything related to COVID. So we know it affects the way you might be able to visit. We know it affects standardized testing availability. We know it may affect the kind of classes that you're able to take, and there might be disruptions because you're hybrid versus in person. But it's okay because we have the experience to know that you're dealing with it, and we're keeping track of really what it means to deal with current day realities. So we want to take the stress away from you and help you to understand that we do all we can to understand your current situation. Courtney, is there anything you might add to that?
Yeah, I've just been reminding students that we're all going through this. And so please know that we will always put your application in the context of your school, but also what's going on in the world. And so as we're going through application review, especially this year, we're reading your applications with compassion and taking into consideration all of those factors. I think I just attended a kind of test prep seminar last night, and I think the importance of those qualitative things, those things that really define who you are, from what you're telling us in your essay to how you're spending your time, even during this COVID time, what you're doing with your time, who you are, what your passions are. Those are the things that are really important to us as we're making decisions. So please make sure you brag a little and share with us all of those great things that you're doing. We really appreciate having more information about you.
And I want to thank all of you for being with us. I know that this can be a daunting thing to start this next chapter in your life, but we're ready to take your questions and certainly answer them. And I know some questions are already appearing for us, which we'll answer, but again, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. So
Courtney, here's a question for you. Well, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to say thank you too. We really appreciate your time, and I hope this was helpful. And we're going to stick around and answer a few questions for you.
So, Courtney, here's a question for you. Although this person's thinking ahead about not starting the college search, but certainly doing one of the most important parts, which is standing out with your college application. So what do you recommend that students do to make sure that they stand out with their own applications for admission?
So one of my biggest recommendations is that you need to put in your activities all of the things that you do, and give us a little description of what that club or organization or activity is, so we have a little bit of context of the impact it's had on you, or what things you've actually accomplished in that. That really helps us. And I know there's this kind of false knowledge out there that you might have two applications that are exactly the same, and what might make you choose one versus the other. I can tell you, after 20 years of doing this, there are no two applications that are exactly the same. You all have different family circumstances, you all have different activities, and even if you were part of some similar activities, you might have had different roles. So really spend a little bit of time on those activities, because that really help set you apart, and sharing who you are in that personal statement. I think that's also the Common App personal statement is a great way to kind of give voice to something that you're passionate about or something that defines you. And that really can help set you apart.
And Courtney, this is kind of related to it, and it deals with the entire, are there any kinds of activities that we prefer, or should people just do what they enjoy doing at the times they can be active?
Yeah, I think, again, we're really looking for what are you passionate about? You don't have to click, check all the check boxes. If you are not into music or theater, do not pick up an instrument or, be in a play. But if you're passionate about it, go for it. Dive in deep, be a part of it for 4 years, maybe take on a leadership role if that's an opportunity for you. Again, I think you all have a variety of talents, and we like to see that because our student body, we like to have all those talents represented. We're Division III for athletics, so we need athletes to play on our Division III teams. We have a music conservatory, so we're looking for students who are strong and either performing, playing a musical instrument or singing and being a part of a chorus. We have students that are leaders on campus and really involved in community service and civic engagement. So if those are things that are important to you, really, I think as Darryl was saying, do a deep dive and dive into those. And if you're having a lot of fun doing them, that's really where you're going to kind of grow the most as well. So you can challenge yourself with something new, but we do like to see consistency in those things that you are really passionate about. If it's a job or helping out with with your family, again, that stands out too, because you're spending a significant amount of your time making money or helping out with family responsibilities. So that is something that stands out as well.
Okay, Courtney, last question for you. And again, these folks are thinking really far forward, but when it came up, are there particular traits that we want to see? What I say to people, whether you're in your freshman year of high school or sophomore year, or a junior right now, you should just be the best authentic you that you can be and think about traits to try to impress us. But close us out with some great advice on how people should get from where they are, being who they are, and making this whole idea of starting the college process successful.
So I think a big part of this is doing some self-reflection. And if you haven't done this at all, sit down and ask yourself, will I feel comfortable on a big campus? Or do I really like it when a faculty knows my name? Do I want to be a part of a small class? Ask yourself, do you want all 4 seasons? Or are you ready to just head south and have some more heat? You're done with the snow. Ask yourself, what is truly important to you to be able to thrive on a college campus for 4 years? Are there certain clubs and organizations that are a part of you that truly define you that you can't live without? Think of those things. For academics, think about your favorite subjects, your favorite teachers that you've had. But also know that there are so many more options when you go to college. It's not just the curriculum of your high schools, but there's so many things. So start exploring those and seeing if there's some majors that really connect with you. I know there were a lot of questions about tours and interviews, and these are a big part of it too. And I know right now we have on-campus tours and we have our tour guides giving tours. And if it's safe enough and your families are okay with traveling this spring, and even over the summer, we're happy to have you come to campus and tour. But we also have a virtual tour. So that's a great way to sit at home and kind of get to know the campus. As far as interviews, again, if you're ready, we'll have interviews ready in May for you juniors. And then we'll follow you kind of throughout to January of your senior year. We'll have opportunities for an interview. Some of my favorite interviews probably happen between November, December, and January of senior year because you've had more time to explore colleges and reflect. You've often applied to some of the schools that you're interested in, but you can also tell me a little bit more about that process and why Gettysburg might be a good match for you. Darryl, do you have any last minute advice?
I do. And here's part of it. There are lots of questions about when should we do it? How should we do it? How early? Here's what I say. Do things when you're ready to take in information. And there was an internationally focused question on using tours to show demonstrated interest. Reason, do it because you need to gather information. Remember that this process is a matching process, so it's not about you pleasing us. It's about us giving you information and you giving us information to make this whole process a match. So it's less about doing things to please admissions and more about doing things because you need the right information to start and finish your college search. So again, I want to thank you all for joining us. Your questions were great. And Courtney, it's been a pleasure to co-present with you today.
Thanks. And I wish you all the best as you continue your college search and know that we are all here to help you through it. Best wishes.